Well, hello, students. This is Mr. Woodhouse. I'm going to go over our simple basic music lesson for this week. We're going to talk about the bass clef. This is for all of my theory classes and general music class. We'll talk about the basics of bass clef. And behind me here, I've already drawn a staff. As you can see, I've drawn a staff on the board here. And right here is what the bass clef looks like. And the reason why they call it the bass clef mainly is because the men sing down here. Now, there's other instruments that play on the bass clef, like your bass guitar, your tuba, and your band. Your cello will play on the bass clef, which is middle string instruments. Your bass strings will play back down there. Your baritone saxophone will play on the bass clef. As you said, bass guitar. As I said, bass guitar. So there's some of those low instruments, and also as for singers, the men sing on the bass clef. Men sing on the bass clef. But what I want to do is go over what your lines and spaces are for bass clef. And the first set I'm going to do is the lines. And our phrase to remember the lines on the bass clef is this: good boys do fine always. Okay? So you got G, B, G, F, A. Now, I didn't get always finished there, but that's okay. At least y'all get the idea. So our bottom line right here is G. Okay? Our second line above from the bottom line is B. Third line is D. Fourth line is F. And our top line is A. Okay? So those are your lines on the bass clef. And remember, the phrase is good boys do fine always. That's how you remember the bass clef. Now with the treble clef, it's every good boy does fine. But with the bass clef, it's different. The bottom line is a G, so we use a different phrase. Good boys do fine always. Okay, so those are lines. Now our spaces on the bass clef spell, this is what the acrostic spells to help you remember, or the phrase to help us remember what it is all cows eat grass. Okay? So you just use the first letter of each one of those words to remember the spaces. Now remember, always in music, we go from bottom to top when we name them. Like first line would be G, first space in this instance between the first and second lines would be A. Okay, so that's all. A for all. The second space up would be this one right here. That's cows. The next space would be E, which is the third space from the bottom. And then your top space between the fourth and fifth line is G. Now, so those are our lines and spaces on the bass clef. So remember, for the lines, it's good boys do fine always. And for the spaces, it's all cows eat grass. And when we always look at our lines and spaces on the staff, we always start from the bottom and go up to the top, okay? So those is basically what your lesson is for today. I've left a document for you that I'll attach for your assignment. So don't just watch the video because you're not done with the video. It's just a real short, probably 5 or 6 questions on the sheet. Just fill it out and attach it back to it when you get done. And this should help you remember. When the voices and those instruments too, there may be a question or two about those. Remember all your lower instruments like tuba, bass, trombone, your bass clef stuff, your bass singers, your tenor singers are the guys. All the guys sing on that clef. And you've got your baritone sax. You also have electric guitar, and the band will play on the bass clef. And your left hand in the piano plays on the bass clef. So those are just a few things about the bass clef and another basic music lesson in less than 10 minutes. So we'll talk to you later. Hope you have a good week.